Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Teams in 20. So this is our series where we have you guys at lunch on Wednesdays at 12 and take up 20 minutes of your time to go over something Microsoft related around modern work. So without further ado, today our presenters are Sital and Doria, and they will be talking to you about well-being top tips. So let's not waste any more of our time, and let them get started.
Brilliant. Thank you, Zane. We'll just do a brief intro. So I'm Sital Champaneri. I'm a customer success manager and aligned to the healthcare industry.
Hello, everyone. I think you have seen me before if you have joined the Teams in 20 Protect Your Time with Viva Insights. My name is Daria Chiovano. I'm a cloud solution architect, and I mostly spend my time working with the Viva apps.
Brilliant. So we're really excited today to present to you the Wellbeing Top Tips. So we'll be covering a couple of apps around well-being and some tips within 365 that you may not be aware of that you should hopefully find really useful as well. Just a nod to the previous session. So Daria did run a session on Viva Insights, so we'll be touching on that again, but different aspects of that relating to well-being. If you haven't seen that session, please head over to the YouTube channel. You can pick up some more insights and tips around Viva Insights and well-being with Viva Insights. In terms of the session today, we really wanted to kind of focus on well-being specifically due to some of the statistics that are coming out from our hybrid work report. And as you can see, it's a priority for leaders in organizations to look after their staff and mental health and well-being. And also we've found that people themselves and employees are prioritizing their health and well-being over work more and more. And many might not know that actually there are lots of well-being tips within the working day that you can implement, and hopefully we'll be able to cover off some of those for you today in this session. We'll be focusing on a couple of the apps. So I mentioned earlier, we'll be focusing on Viva Insight and some of the features within there that you could leverage. And we'll also briefly mention the Breakthrough app, which is free for NHS staff and all other industries. If you work in public sector, private, etc., you do actually have an extended 3-month trial. So it's definitely one to go away and have a look at, and we'll cover both in the session. And then I'll hand over to you, Daria, to start the demo.
Lovely, thank you. I'll just share my screen quickly. Can I double check that you can see the screen? Zane, Sital, can you confirm?
Yep.
All right, so as mentioned, there was the few weeks ago session on protecting your time with Viva Insights. So for those of you who have attended that session, this homepage in the Viva Insights app within Teams will look familiar. So when speaking about well-being, we already have some tools that we could use from the homepage to kind of enhance our personal well-being as well, and the well-being as a general concept for our team and for our organization. And the first one that I wanted to talk you through is the Send Praise to Colleagues tool, the first thing that you can see here on the screen on the left-hand side. I'm pretty sure that everyone in this room might have had tough days, difficult days. You were swamped with meetings, with tasks that you had to accomplish, and maybe your emotions were not the best. And a heartfelt thank you from one of your colleagues for your effort, for everything that you're doing for a project, for your positive energy, for your enthusiasm can change your day, right? And it can also change your day once you send it to someone, but it can also change your day once you see someone has shown their gratitude for your work and for all the effort that you're putting into your work. So the Send Praise tool, we just click on Send Praise. You type a name. I'll type the name of my colleague Adele. She's doing a fantastic job. And now I have the option to share this praise message to my chat with Adele directly. So she's going to be the only one who sees that. Or I can decide to make it public, and I want all the team to know that Adele is doing a fantastic job and her impact is just amazing. So I can click on the Teams channel. And now I have all these options of channels that I can share it to. I'll just choose to share it on Contoso Marketing, where my team sits, and Adele is also part of that channel. And I'll share it to the general section of the channel. Now, in the title, you have a few options predefined by the application. So you can choose whatever title that suits best. let's say for this time, I'll say achiever. And here you can add an optional note and give some details as much as you'd like about the project that you're working on, the project that I'm working on with Adele. Obviously, if it's a confidential project, you can give as much detail as you want. The note is optional, as you can see, but we do encourage you to just to write a few words here so that people know exactly what you're praising Adele for, and also she will understand exactly what she did well and how she contributed to the team. And I just send it to the channel. Now, as you can see here, you have a history of praises that you send to your colleagues, right? So I've sent one to Adele now. I've sent one to Megan before. I've also sent one to Adele a few days ago. So all the praises that you're going to send to your teammates will appear here, as well as the praises that you will receive from your teammates once they do that. Sometimes, because again, we're very busy and it's very difficult for us to kind of get out of this busy rhythm at work, we can sometimes forget to praise our colleagues, even though we want to do that. It's just we get distracted by so many things. So another interesting tool here is the reminder tool that the Send Praise tool has. You can choose a day. Let's say I'll choose Friday, 4:30, and I'll set a reminder. What happens is that on Friday at 4:30 in my activity, I will receive a notification from Viva Insights, which will prompt me to take some time, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, it doesn't really matter, it's up to you, to think about what my colleagues have done in the projects that we're working on together, how they've contributed to my work, for example, or how they contributed to the project, what they did well, and spend some time showing my gratitude for that. So it doesn't matter if you forget to do that. Maybe, again, you're very busy. Viva Insights has you sorted with this. Moving to the well-being. Again, this page is familiar for those of you who have attended the Protect Your Time session. Back then, I spoke about how to protect our time, how to start a daily focus plan, how to disconnect with quiet time, the virtual commute as well. And I kind of framed it in this productivity space, how it helps you get work done faster and how you can create this more efficient environment for you to do that. But this is also part of well-being, right? So protecting your time and making time for your work also affects how you feel at work, how you feel every day, what your emotions are. But now, what I want to focus on is the Act with Intention section of this page. So as you can see here, you have 3 subchapters: the focus, the meditation, and the articles. On the left-hand side, you see the book focus time option that we've been through last time, which is also part of the well-being, as I've mentioned. So you can always go and block some time in your calendar for yourself. But the other interesting bits in this section are the tools offered by Headspace. So these 2 that you see here, these are mixes of beats and warm tones and sounds, basically music without lyrics. Obviously, not everyone can work with lyrics, that you can play when you're completing your individual work. So you just have to click play here. I'm not sure if you can hear the sound. I hope you do. So this is a 2-hour mix. And this is another time, another one, the zoom out one. In essence, the reason why we encourage you to give it a go and use these is because they energize your focus. And I personally can tell you that I feel a change when I listen to these. It just creates this relaxed environment for me to continue my work. Obviously, it depends on the preference. Sometimes I prefer to work in complete silence and I don't want anything else, any sound or noise to disturb me. But again, it depends a lot on the workload that I have to complete. So for some people, sometimes music helps. Having these tones create this relaxed environment in which you can actually focus way better than before. So give it a go. And it's obviously for you to adjust to the task that you have to complete, the work that you have to do. Moving on to meditation. So these are also a series of mindful exercises that you can choose to do during your work day. We are always emphasizing to people how important it is to disconnect, especially after work, how to close off your laptop and kind of take time for yourself. But what we sometimes miss to do is to encourage people to take these minutes throughout the day. Take some breaks, 10-minute breaks, 15-minute breaks, and give some time and think about meditation, think about how to disconnect even when you're in your working hours, right? So Headspace, what brings you is exactly these kind of exercises, right? When you feel stressed perhaps, or you need a body scan, or you need to stand up a little bit, and just be aware of how you feel in that moment and how to reframe those negative emotions and not let them affect you throughout the day.
So making sure you're
These are
sitting
meditation
comfortably, even
exercises.
if the mind's feeling very stressed right now.
And last but not the least, the articles. So in this case, in articles, again, sometimes people might not want to take time to read through these, but I'm promising you, I've done that, and they can actually inspire you and give you some minutes to acknowledge what you're going through and what other people are going through and how to change that. It's basically giving you some tips on how to make your working day even better.
Hopefully you can see my screen. I'm going to stay in Viva Insights just for this one. I wanted to show you something around the productivity tools. Coming in to the three dots and clicking in the settings. One of the things that I find really difficult at the moment is being in lots of back-to-back meetings. And one of the features within Viva Insights, and you can access it in Outlook as well, will allow you to reduce your meeting times. So you can choose, if you come into your settings by the three dots and head over to effective meetings, you can choose to shorten your meeting times. And you can choose what that is. So you can choose to start an event, end an event earlier. So for half an hour meetings, you can say, actually, I'm going to change that to 25 minutes. Or you can start something at 5 past the hour instead of on the hour. So if people are just coming off the back of a meeting, they've got a little bit of a break in between before joining the next one. And that allows them to kind of go and grab a drink, stretch their legs, complete a little breakthrough activity, or just catch up on messages. So you can choose to configure that as you wish. So I'm just going to pop that on and say I'm going to start the event a little bit later. You can choose how many minutes. And then for 1 hour meetings, again, you can choose how many minutes you want to do. My default is always 5 and 10 minutes, but you can choose what you want to set that to. And that's there. And you can also do the same in Outlook. So if I head over to Outlook here and click into my settings in the top right, this is both in the online and the desktop version of Outlook, but I'm using the online one here. I'm going to scroll down to my Outlook settings, and within calendar and my events, I can do the same here as well. So I can shorten the meeting durations. If you do prefer to use Outlook over Teams to schedule some of your meetings, you can do that here as well. And then heading back here, another thing that I really like within the tools is to be able to schedule your messages being sent at a certain time. So you can do that in Outlook as well already, and have a message or an email be sent out the following day. You can now do that in Teams as well. So if I head to a chat message and just click in here, I can compose a message for Megan. So it may be, I can see here that Megan's offline. She might be on annual leave, but I know I'm not going to be around later on, or I might be working and catching up with things later in the evening because I've logged on a little bit later in the morning. I can choose to send a message that goes to Megan at a set time. So I'm not then sending her a message in the evening that forces her to come in and log on. And if you're a manager, for example, you're sending messages out to your team, thinking about whether they feel compelled to reply when you send that message out. So I can say, please review the file sent yesterday. And if I right click on my send, you can see I've got a few options on when I want that message to go out. So it's Wednesday today, I'm going to say Thursday, and I can choose what time that goes out as well. So I'll say I'm going to have that go out at 9:30 and send at scheduled time. So I can see a little message here. I can go in and amend that if I want to as well, and then just click send. So that has been sent from my end. I don't need to worry about having to put it on my to-do list for tomorrow, and that will be received by Megan the following day at a time that she's then going to be back on. So it just allows you to look after other people's well-being as well as your own. And then lastly, I'm going to mention Breakthrough. So this is an app that integrates with Microsoft 365, and it's really great for short bursts of movement. So if you are at your desk, predominantly sat down, it will encourage you to get up and move. You can click on the three dots, right click, search for Breakthrough, and then you can pin that on the left-hand rail in Teams. Like I said, it's free for healthcare, and there's a 3-month trial available for all other industries. Pops up in chat. I can come into Play and choose one of the, when it loads up, there we go. Choose one of the energy or center, depending on how you're feeling. If I click into one of these and say, actually, I'm going to do a breathing exercise, then I get a little on-screen image. All the colors and kind of designs are there with science in mind, so they're really there to kind of help. And you just can stand up, do the stretches, and follow the exercises that appear on screen. The history is really great as well. It will show you breakthroughs that you have done in the past. So again, because this is a trial subscription that's expired on my account, it doesn't show, but it should show on yours. You can see the history of all the breakthroughs you've completed, and this circle will fill up as well. So it's a really nice visual of all the kind of breaks that you fit into your day. You can also set daily reminders. So in my Microsoft tenant, I actually have one that comes through at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, just to remind me to get up and stretch. So I can click in to reminder, click add, choose the days of the week and the time. So I can say I'm going to set a reminder here for 2:20 every working day, and set a reminder. So I'll get a little notification from Breakthrough that says, remember to get up and stretch. You can also, and the final thing I'll mention about it is that you can also set up challenges for your team. So again, if you're working with a group of people, you can go in and say, let's set a weekly or a monthly challenge and see who can complete as many breakthroughs as possible. So again, not just your own well-being, but you're looking after other people's well-being as well. And then I'm just going to come back to our PowerPoint deck. So we wanted to mention one more thing before we close. And that is, with it being Mental Health Awareness Week coming up shortly, we've actually got our Accessibility Lead team have created a downloadable calendar. So you'll have daily hints and tips for the month on all things to do with accessibility and well-being. And there's a link there, and we'll pop that in the chat as well for you to go away and download that calendar, so you can share that internally and kind of look after one another.
So next week we have a session on Microsoft Bookings. So make sure you join that, as it'll be a very useful session on an app that I personally use quite a bit. So I find it quite useful. So yeah, thank you. I think that's it from us, and see you next week.